Welcome to Untoxic TV, where we just try to talk about life issues and try to become untoxic. Meaning, we ain't trying to spread toxicity. Today's topic is a interesting one, and we gotta remember that we have to keep it untoxic around here. But it's a real interesting one, and it's one about parenting. Now, parenting is, of course, up to any individual. I mean, it's your life, it's your rules, it's your kids. You do it how as you please. But it's something that goes on in the parental community that really bothers me. I am a parent. I have 3 kids. I have my oldest, my son, and I have 2 daughters that follow, ranging from the ages of, this year is 2023. So for this year, ranging from the ages of 13 down to 5. Now, yes, I still have quite a few years to go before my children reach adulthood, but I'm an adult. I was a kid. I went through my adolescence and teenage years. I went through my early adulthood, and now this year I'll be 35 years old. I've been in the Army, I've been overseas, I've driven trucks across the country, I've done a little something, I've seen a little something, and I've been about a little something. And one thing that I come to realize is that the way that I came up, or the way that I was raised, or the way that my environment or culture raises us, I don't feel as though it's right. I feel as though it's very forced, and it causes a lot of hiccups, it causes a lot of unnecessary setbacks, and it causes your life to actually develop slower rather than faster. And let me start off with the thing that really aggravates me the most, and it's on most people's list, and I apologize if I offend you, but I'm the type of person that likes to spin your mind in another direction. I like people to take their minds out of the box and think outside of it, and not change your belief or change your opinion, but add something of value to your brain, something of value from out of this probably 10-minute video that I'm about to give you. So that thing is the fact that we feel as though when our children reach the age of 21 that we are no longer responsible for them. And that means spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Well, I'm not going to say emotionally, because everybody feels like they have to be there emotionally for their child. But the number one thing is financially. Now, that is the part that bothers me. And it bothers me because it doesn't start there. It starts in early childhood. It starts with, or it starts it from the way that we were raised, or the way that you were raised. And I want to just talk about the topic and see, where everybody's minds really are on the subject. But number one thing, when our children came into this world, there was not a 21-year contract that we signed with ourselves and our child, who is a child, an infant, a newborn, who's can't read, write, speak, talk, walk, can't do anything. So we didn't make an agreement with our children when they came into this world. So why do we feel as though that our children are supposed to help us along the road, and our children are supposed to turn 21 years old, and now it's just all up to them to figure it out? And whether you're 35, 40, 50, you don't even have it all figured out yet. So how are you going to throw out your seed and you haven't even fully blossomed? So your seed is being thrown to the world to figure it all out the same way you have. Now, this could easily be squashed at the very beginning, because most people have children way before they deserve to, or well way before they're even ready, because they don't understand. And that's the number one thing that people don't understand, that there was no deal signed. There was no ritual performed. that, you at 21, you got to be responsible. And during your teenage years, you need to get a job and help me with the bills that I got in the house. No, as a parent, if you were ready for parenthood, this is stuff that you should have already had under control. And this is stuff that you should have already had figured out. These are just the basics of life. You can't figure out the basics of keeping a roof over your own head and managing your own bills and having a little cushion to live off of in the worst case scenario, but you drag your seed into it, into your drama and into your bull. And in a lot of cases, parents expect their children to fix it because they want their children to live up to the things that they couldn't live up to. Because like I stated earlier, it all starts in the beginning. It all starts in the life that started before your child's life, and I'm talking about the parent's life. Because usually it's because, my mom did it this way, or my dad did it this way. But I want you to really look at your mom and look at your dad. Do you really want to end up like your mom? Do you really want to end up like your dad? No, if they ended off great and you still look up to them or whatever, that's great. Great parents, great end of their lives, or great example set for you. But if they ain't, then you need to accept the reality of what you're on the road to. You need to accept the reality of the example that has been set for you and realize that you should not be that example. And it's not too late. If you had children prematurely, it's not too late. You can always start, but you got to remember that when you're building, when you're training, when you're sculpting, when you're brainwashing your child, because that's what raising is. Most of the time it's just brainwashing. You're programming them by setting the example, and subconsciously they're programming all of your actions into their brains. And as they become teens and as they become adults, they become you. Hence why you can look at your kid and say, Dad, can I even really be mad? You're acting just like me. Yes, because you have already brainwashed them and set that example. So if you brainwash them to let them know that you can't afford to pay your bills and that you need help around the house and that you need to do all these extracurricular ridiculous activities that you think that children don't know going on in order to make ends meet, you're already setting an example of failure. If you don't agree, then you don't agree. Don't argue with me. I don't argue with you. If you don't agree, you don't agree. But you're already setting the example of failure, because there's so many things that you should have been prepared for before you thought about stepping through the doors of parenthood. It's a cycle that can be fixed. It's a cycle that can be reprogrammed. And I want you to think about this. At 21 years old, who's ready to buy a house? Who's ready to buy a house at 21 years old? If there are any yeses in any of the listeners, then it is a very, very, very small percentage. I guarantee it. And let's just be honest. Let's be honest. It's not going to be everyone. It's always going to be a small percentage of people that are not included. But the much, much, much greater percent of parents that dismiss their children or encourage dismissing their children at the age of 21, they don't even own the house that they're dismissing them from. So it's like, while you're creating a new cycle of your line of generations, you're just already setting the example of failure, setting the example of not achieving, and setting the example of, hey, get out, let me have my freedom, because that's what's important to me. Our line, our last name, who we are, our generations, that's not important. What's important is me right here and right now. And that is where I, as a parent, am not selfish in, and I will not be selfish in. And I am making sure that I am in every position that when my children reach adulthood, when they need something, they can come to me as their parent without a loan or without anything in return. Because once again, They didn't sign a contract with me to come into this world. So as their parent, I will always look out for them, not just an emotional matter and an emotional matter when they're in trouble or when they're scarred or when they're hurt, but always, even in a financial matter, if that is just what shall be needed. I contest when individuals say, hey, I have to move back in with my parents and my parents are charging me rent. Now, it's a difference from helping your parents out and your parents actually charging you rent. Because I look at it this way. If from what I said in this video already up until this point, if everything was prepared properly, and if you were in the situation to take in your children without their money, you wouldn't ask for their money. As a parent and as a child that's been on, well, I haven't been on the adult side of it as a parent and my children, but I have been on the vice versa side of it. But if there were ever a time where my children were to come to me, like I have had to come to my parents and say, hey, I ain't doing good right now. I'm messed up financially. I need to lay my head for a place for a while. I need to save some money. I need to stack some money, however it may be for you. As a parent, I just want to say, how long do you need? And we just work it out from there. As a parent, I don't like to hear, or I wouldn't want to say, okay, but I need to charge you this much for rent. Now, a lot of people would say you need to help out, you need to pay your way, or this, that, and the other. But if I had my shit in order and I could pay my bills and I was doing everything fine before my child needed me, because, you know, I built my life, I put myself in a position where I know that I'm a parent and I know that I must have a certain standard of life just because I am a parent, then I wouldn't accept your money because you came to me in a state of distress and your pocket's already being drained, or whatever situation you've been through, your pocket's gone. So I'm not helping you be more responsible by taking your money. That's what a lot of parents say, oh, it's teaching responsibility. You can try to argue that, but it's also hurting the potential of the responsibility that can be or that can exist. Because how is this child going to get back to that level of responsibility if you're taking the key of life from them, which is money? It's money. But once again, if you were in a great off situation or in a comfortable situation, you wouldn't need your child's money. So it don't be the kids. We need to be better parents, because we force our kids out into this harsh world. For what? Before this unwritten rule of you 21, you must move out. 21 just is a number. 21 just is the federal legal adult age on paper. 21 is just savage. 21. 21 means, yes, I'm not a kid anymore, but as a parent, 21, you're still my kid, and I still got you. I will always be there for you. Us parents need to just start building ourselves better as parents. And I feel like our generations will be affected differently if we affect it by being better parents. The examples have to start somewhere. The subliminal programming has to start somewhere. The brainwashing is already going on, but the brainwashing must reverse, and it has to start somewhere. This will not be an overnight change. It will not be a 1-2 generation shot change. Us being prepared better means we control more. We own more. We're invested in more. We're connected to more. And just the word more used that many times talking about you're just a better person. I just feel like preparation is key. And preparation is not being thrown to the wolves. Preparation is practice. Preparation is practice. Preparation is practice. And the way you practice is by demonstrating. Practice is a walkthrough. Practice is a vision of what you expect to happen. The things that you expect to be performed, the outcomes that you are predicting in your favor. So if we're not practicing, how are we expecting better? We're just expecting a generation just to wake up and just change on their own. It's just, we need to dig into our own mirrors, our own reflections, our own laziness, our own stubbornness, and redefine really what love is as a society and humanity, and really define what love is for your child, and the strengths, the risks, the sacrifices, the emotional struggles that you must go through because you decided to have that child or those children. I always say to every adult that I have this type of conversation with, when you were clapping those cheeks or when you were getting those cheeks clapped, that was not a performance. That punishment should come from the product of that session. Y'all was doing that. Y'all created this whole person. So y'all are always responsible for this person in every single type of way. And children, we and or you must understand this loyalty that parents should have, must have, and probably do have in your lives today, and embrace it. And also understand for all parties on all sides, both parents and both children, that appreciation is not the same as owing someone. Appreciation and owing you are not even on the same scale. That'll take me into my next video. I thank everybody for listening thus far. Please get involved, not in a toxic way. You can clearly express your opinion even if you totally oppose of everything that I stated in this video. Just please do it in a mature fashion that me, you, and everyone who wants to chime in can have a productive conversation, and again, try to provide some type of value to each other and not just look at it as swaying each other's opinion. I thank y'all so much for watching or listening again, however you took in this video. Have a